Innovation Unplugged from the Alabama Community College System's Innovation Center takes you inside Alabama's workforce development. Join us for enlightening conversations with community leaders and industry experts showcasing experiences, addressing key issues, and celebrating successes in the workforce initiatives across the state.
All right, welcome back to another episode of Innovation Unplugged. And if you're looking on YouTube, you see that we're in a much different spot this time than we have been in previous episodes. So I'm Houston Blackwood. I'm the host of this episode of Innovation Unplugged. I got with me Joe Johnson, Director of Workforce Development at Wallace Community College, Dothan. And I always get those names wrong. We've got so many Wallaces, but this one is really good today. Now, just for the fans to know, like we're here to follow up on your residential home builder academy, residential construction academy. And we've got some amazing stories, but we've got a good script just of how this thing happened. So we're going to talk about that. And we're doing things a little bit different. So guys, this is going to be a little bit, it might be a little messy. The audio might not be right, but we're excited here. So Joe, we're just going to go through some things and figure out, but give us a quick backstory. You were on a long time ago and talking about long-haired Joe. Remember that? So
Yes.
we want to get back to that. So tell me how this thing got started.
Yeah, I mean, really, it started several years ago. As I think around the state, a lot of the colleges are they help and volunteer and partner with events called Worlds of Works, right? Those Worlds of Works events really expose everything from an 8th grade student up to 11th grade student, depending on who the population is, to really hands-on careers, right, that may not have been exposed to before. And so we were talking to our great partners with the Home Builders Association of Dothan, with some of the home builders, and just about the need. At the time, we didn't have a space such as this that had been renovated, so we actually partnered with a local high school, a local career tech center, to use their building construction lab at night. So again, Home Builders Foundation supported us from a resource standpoint. We're able to kind of run a couple of classes over a couple of year period. And again, through the Innovation Center and through their assistance in kind of developing the training, one, it led us to be able to offer kind of standardized training, from career exploration to, at the end of the day, again, exposing those individuals to entry-level careers, right? And so in all the skills, everything from the soft skills to the hard skills that it takes to be successful.
Yeah, awesome. So you mentioned some of those early community support partners that helped you get it stood up, and nothing happens in your community college service region without those partners.
Correct.
You got big ideas, but if they don't buy in, it doesn't happen. So
Absolutely.
we'll get to some more of that later. What were the biggest challenges to get this academy off the ground?
Well, I think one is, I don't know if we would say it's a challenge, but an opportunity of one, making sure that you've got a qualified instructor, right? Y'all did a phenomenal job from, with the Innovation Center of developing the training with that, I say input from the statewide task force, but having that competent person that's been there, done that for years, because again, the content is great, but we've got to find somebody that can take the content that they know and have done and have practiced for years and get it down to whatever population that is, right? So we were very fortunate to be able to find some great instructors. Again, the college's support, I can't really say enough about trying to renovate a space to where we can offer training such as this, right? Daytime, evenings, whatever the case may be. And then again, to your point, nothing's really going to happen. You're not going to get much traction in the community unless you have that buy-in from the actual industry partners themselves.
Yeah.
So all of that was a beautiful marriage, and here we are today.
Yeah. Some of the groups you had were Cox Pools, Century 21, and not only did they support just developing and promoting it, but they were here.
Yes.
Like they were on site a couple times. Tell us more about how they were actually present, giving their time after work hours to help you.
Well, I think, again, is kind of go back to Morella Collins, who's executive officer with the Home Builders Association of Dothan, as we were talking about, and Corey Boland with the Home Builders Foundation. As we talked about, we had the training, we knew we were having a space renovated, but at the end of the day, where the rubber meets the road again is with those industry partners, right? And so thankfully Morella was able to share some information with their membership. we, the college, were able to come and talk to the membership at their annual lunch and membership luncheon. And so they had a lot of great questions. And so we just kind of talked through everything. And so from there, as we talked about, we can have the best space, we can have the best content, we can have the best equipment and supplies. But, you know, at the end of the day, when the training is over, I think the most successful programs in the state as far as tying those graduates to employment is when those employers are there intentionally when it comes to at the end of the training, right?
Yeah.
So they were all super fired up about coming on the last night of training because, again, in my opinion, if we put this training on and we're telling the community, hey, there's jobs everywhere, right? These home builders
Yes.
are loving you, these plumbers,
Yeah.
these electricians, they need you. But if nobody's here, what does that really say to our students, right?
Yep.
So we could tell that the excitement when those industry partners started showing up here and those students were here working and they could see that they were there to interview them, they were fired up.
Yeah. I think we've struggled with skills for success. That was for a long time. That employer connection was something we didn't focus on. We are now. The colleges are collectively, but your work there and a couple other places around the state have really blossomed, and I think the industries are starting to see the benefit of that. So, were there any special interactions between one of the students and a particular employer that you know people need to know about?
Yeah, I mean, we had several. One specifically that comes to mind is Rashawn Walker. And so we had several conversations, you know, just during the training about, one, how great it was. Two, it's at no cost to the community, right? You know, and so like he said, you know, what better can you get than that? But then as a part of the on-site interviews that last night, you know, obviously he got to interview with all of our industry partners, was offered a job that night, and the very next week, he was on the job site working. So, you know, to his point, and he's been a great advocate for the college as far as just, again, sharing our stories and his story on social media, right? And connecting with everybody in the community and trying to get the word out. So, yeah, it was amazing.
That's good stuff. So when these students come in the audience, you can see behind us these structures. Now, these are all, this is the same lab plan that every college runs for the carpentry helper course. And now there's a roof framing module. I think it wasn't ready when you guys ran this.
Correct.
And so, and plumbing's coming soon. We'll talk about all that in a minute. But when the students came in and there was just a pile of wood in the floor, like what was it like when they realized, okay, we're really about to build a home ish and wire that thing up. So walk through that. Like what was their facial expressions and their thoughts and their words? That had to be fun.
It was, and you know, and it was. I think that again, that goes back to having that instructor. He took the time up front, of course, as they kind of worked through the safety aspects of everything, to really talk to them about, hey, here's where we're going to start. Here's where we're going to end, and this is really how this ties into, at a small level, exactly what you're going to see when you go into industry, right?
Right.
So as the very first night, you know, the very first day, when they're going through and they're understanding, of course, how to use that tape measure, how to use a square, how to use a skill saw, right? I mean, the excitement continued to grow, and then really learning too, again, how do you frame those windows? How do you frame out the doors and all that kind of good stuff? So from the carpentry perspective, like they said, I mean, we're building a small house, right? And so as they transitioned into it, again, kind of see some of the, I'd say the first day's work as they work on the electrical trainers, right? So everybody has their own electrical training board, and then from there again, so they can kind of go through those activities themselves, but then at the end of it, again, they have their little structure that they're going into, and again, they're taking that spade bit, they're drilling through those 2x, and they're pulling that wire here just like they would on a job site, right?
Yeah, and
so,
I've said before about this carpentry and electrical helper, like there's something, you can do a lot of things, but until you've pulled wire, like there's just an understanding of, I don't say life, that sounds cheesy, of pulling wire, Romex wire through multiple studs, you know, and then terminating it or drilling through and filling it when it's getting close, and then it pops through. Like that's just an appreciation of something that I think a lot of students don't have anymore.
Well, and I think a great example was one of the students was talking about, to your point, is you're pulling that Romex through those 2x, right? If you've got a run of 2 or 3, 4 2x of spans that you're pulling through, you know, if you've never experienced that resistance, some may be a little worried, hey, am I pulling it too hard? But again, that's where the real world hands-on experience comes into play. Hey, you know you can put this much force on it. You're not going to hurt that wire, right? You know, how much force does it take to really strip back, you know, the insulation off that wire? How much should you do it? So again, talking about it, going through the online theory is great, and it gives them a really good understanding. But again, that's where the excitement was when they were here in the labs.
Yeah. So when you look through those kids that are doing all these courses, how do you see it changing? Like for the community members, the students that just finished this one, the employers that see it now, how does this change the idea of this kind of training, these kinds of jobs in the Wiregrass area?
Well, and I think it creates excitement within the industry partners because they feel like and they know that we've heard them, right?
Yeah.
We've heard their voice. We're putting something together to help meet their needs, and from there, they're more excited now to come back because now they know exactly what they're looking forward to. They know, like we've talked about before, every student, and as we've talked about it through the different colleges, different colleges, each course may be a little bit different, right? But with this type of training, everything's standardized, right? So they know if they get a person out of a electrical helper course here, or at Wallace Hanceville, or at Wallace Selma, or Calhoun, or CAC, it's all the same, right?
That's it, and that's something I was thinking last night about all the stuff we've done. I couldn't sleep, and something about that consistency that every college, say 5 years ago, had their own programs and all that stuff, and everybody, it was beautiful, but it was everybody's individual thing. So now there's just that one consistent thing for a part of what you do. Part of your toolbox is consistent with everybody else. I think that's valuable. But I want to look at this. I'm watching and look at this right now. Like I see some screws and I also see some nails. So I wonder how much did they use like a nail gun, or how much did they screw in? And is that a preference by instructor, or is that just something that y'all just how it went?
Well, it's a little bit of both, preference by instructor, but understanding that, hey, as students come in, most have very limited experience. So they're going to start out with an old school hammer, right?
Oh, yeah.
And then as they learn the safety aspect, they'll get to transition again into screw guns and the nail guns and things of that nature, because again, depending on where you're working, you may use a combination of, right?
Oh, sure.
And so for those that have never actually, just from a drill, if they've never taken a drill bit out and put one in, having an opportunity to do that multiple times and having that instructor give you that feedback, I mean, that's, again, it's one of those things as we talk about, you don't know what you don't know, right?
Right.
And so, but again, that exposure gives them the confidence to know, hey, what I'm doing is right.
Yeah. I remember my father teaching me, I was a little kid, a lot of busted thumbs, and my son too. It's funny to watch. It's fun to watch people grasp that. And then you see those guys on TV, they're like, bam, 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 like 3 strikes, that nailed all the way in, so that's fun. So this one had carpentry and electrical. So I don't see any flooring, I don't see any plumbing. So you're going to include those next time? That's what you told me sometime?
Yes, as we start rolling into next year, again, our goal is to, we're going to start just as if they were on a job site, right? Running carpentry. They get those basic skills, but then we're going to go in, we're going to wire that structure out. And as we do that, like you said, now, next thing we're going to roll into plumbing, right? So again, at least when an employer comes to us, they know that individual is well-rounded. They have touched and been exposed to those different elements,
Right.
And again, it's a great way for those that have never been exposed to it to say, hey, is this really what I want to do for a career? And having a great pathway, we actually had 2 students that were interested after the electrical helper portion, transitioned and submitted their application to enroll in the full-blown electrical program here at the college.
Okay.
So, yeah.
That was my next question is, so any of those kids that are interested, they saw that, then how do you articulate or recruit those students, like for that next program, like HVAC or electrical engineer, whatever it is. How did you use this captive audience to bring them into the next thing at Wallace?
Well, and I think, again, the exposure creates the excitement, and it's something that they've never done, but then 2, it's like, hey, I really enjoy this. I'm good at this, right?
Yeah.
And so from there, they want more. And so for us, it's, okay, how do we give them more? Are they ready to go right into the workforce? If so, we're going to connect them with an industry partner. Or, hey, if they want to go a little bit further in their education, well, hey, we got a phenomenal electrical technology program. Here's the instructor's name, and the instructors will take it and run with it and do the rest.
You make that sound so easy, like it's just right there, and like they just get to choose one, and it really is that easy for them.
Right.
But that's not with Skills for Success. That's not always been like the concept from the college. I can say that, like I say that with all the respect in the world.
Sure.
A lot of times we recruit folks, we train them, and we send them on.
Right.
So shift into that model of, hey, let me connect you to here or here. Like you've got 2 pathways, but Wallace is going to take care of you either time. It doesn't matter. So I love that. I love that. So thinking bigger, like in the Wiregrass region, Wallace's workforce development strategy. Now you're on your third president since I've known you. You know, and I say that funny. Like I had 3 at Calhoun when I was there. You know, and so that's certainly, they're all different people, right? And so now you've got Dr. Murphy, who is a go-getter.
Absolutely.
You know, and she's kind of like my wife. She's a dynamite in a small package, right? And so I'm excited to see what happens here. So with her, she's just come on, and she was here for this academy, right? She was in place. So how does this type of course and other skills for success offerings that you've mastered, you and your team, how did those fit into Dothan's bigger workforce development strategy for the region?
Well, again, I think it's one of those, it's, when we talk to our industry partners, it's about one understanding that, and they understand too, and that's why our Worlds of Work event was so crucial and so needed. But again, as those individuals come through that may have never been exposed to hands-on careers, right? It allows them to know from an industry partner perspective, hey, these individuals are being exposed to this, right? They're getting that entry-level training, so it allows them to, just as those other gentlemen did, hey, if they want to matriculate into that 4-credit associate's degree or short certificate or long certificate electrical program, they can do that. But at the end of the day, they know they have a pool of individuals that, are interested because they've taken time to complete the online theory. They have taken the time and are invested enough to come to the labs. And these particular courses were offered at night for 2 weeks. So you got individuals that were invested enough, after most of them working all day, coming here and working from 5 to 9 p.m. for 2 weeks, right? So that shows the investment in those individuals. So I think that's one of the reasons they were so eager to come, because they knew the interest was here from the participants, and so they couldn't wait to tap into it.
I saw those pictures of the final night with the interview tables. I guess they built in this room and they were interviewed in a different room, something like that. I think that's really powerful. We interviewed on the show, on the podcast, a student from Trenton who had lived in Auburn, took CDL with Trenton State, and he worked all day and then went to class from 6 to 12 p.m., 6 p.m. to 12 a.m. Went home, got back to work by 6 a.m., you know, so his schedule was crazy. But an employer seeing those students go through all that, that's very powerful, you know, so it's cool that you can tell that story.
Absolutely.
So Joe Johnson is a blue-collar guy, always has been, grew up that way, you know, and you don't have to wear the blue collar anymore, but I think you're still that guy at heart, right? And that's why your programs do so good here. So when you see this program, you see your CDLs taking off. By the way, I saw one of your trucks go by last night. I was leaving the Kyoto Sushi. And I saw one of your trucks go by, very smooth, obeying all the traffic laws. But you stood up that program, and it's rolling. We can't keep up with invoices. You know, and I know that you're working towards a third party and all kinds of things. And so you stood that up. Your fiber took off, and you've got that established. And you've got all the other things that you do in general. What makes you the most proud about this type of academy that maybe it had been done in some form somewhere, but no one has taken skills for success and quite done it like this, this well? So what makes you the most proud of all that?
Well, I think to me, it just shows the partnership, you know, because we talked earlier about really how we got here, right? Between talking to the industry partners at WOW, partnering with a local high school. I'm not for sure how many colleges, community colleges, can say that. I mean, we were partnering with a local high school to use their building construction space initially years ago. And so here we are. So I think, for me, I think what I'm most proud of is in the Wiregrass, in our service area, we all seem to pull in the same direction for what the common goal is, right? Which is that workforce, right? And so, again, starting here, leading to an associate's degree if it needs to, or anywhere in between. And I think, as we've talked about it a lot, it's not about when you finish this, you're done. This is one opportunity, right? When you finish this, it's really about on-ramps and off-ramps, in my opinion, and giving our students choices.
Yeah, that on-ramp and off-ramp looks, it's crazy in today's world what they can get to. How can folks get involved with you for the next round? What do they need to do to get a hold of Joe Johnson and get their people in this academy? I
think, you know, we drive everybody to our webpage, which is wallace.edu/WFD. And for there, it kind of, you know, that's our central location for everything from CDL to carpentry helper, right? And so if you go there, it should have all of our information for our upcoming courses, my contact information, all of our teammates' contact information, because I'm just the person that gets to stand here with you and talk about the great things but, you know, we have have a phenomenal team that really does all the work, and they interface with the students, with the industry partners when they're calling in and trying to register people right. And so they do a phenomenal job of that. But really just kind of go into that website or that webpage, and it should have all of our contact information. And from there, we're more than happy to help you, hold your hand all along the way.
Yeah, y'all do that. We send those interest forms, and we never have to worry about your team responding to them. That was wallace.edu/WFD.
Wallace.edu / yeah,
okay.
WFD. Yeah.
Yeah, right. And so for those listening that are not in the Wallace region, you can go to trainforalabama.com and then pick a course and fill out the interest form if you're an employer or a student, and get connected to their local college too. So a couple other questions. I love this one. In 5 years, we both might be retired in 5 years. I don't know. What are you toasting to? Of all this stuff that you do, you put on, you think about, you ask your team to do, you go out and you sell like a crazy person in the community. In 5 years, where is it, and why are you happy about it on a Friday afternoon?
Making a difference, making an impact, honestly. Yeah. And is talking about earlier, as corny as it may sound, to me, that's what it's about. Years ago, I was a graduate of Wallace, and I had somebody invest in me, teachers that invested in me that had not, I would not be standing here today. Right. So you can never underestimate, what a smile or a help, or do you need some help, or hey, let me plug you into that business, right, or this resource, the difference that it can make in somebody's life. So for me, that's why I wake up every day, is to make a difference in the community, and just honestly blessed to have industry partners and resources in the community that feel the same way. Yeah,
that's not cheesy. If we turn that camera off, we could probably talk about it and get a little teary-eyed about the opportunity that we have. From being the teacher, the man, the teacher, the administrator, the whatever. We get a little sappy if we weren't careful about it.
Absolutely.
Some of these folks. You really are changing their life. In some cases, maybe their family tree. Right. So it's a good story. Well, thanks for having us. You guys can see behind us, like, these structures are solid, and I've been around home building for a long time in my life, and this is a good thing, man. And this is going to take off, and you add the plumbing and the flooring, and goodness knows what else you're going to put into this thing, Joe. It's going to be awesome. So, guys, that's our wrap up for this episode. Another episode of Innovation Unplugged here from Dothan, Alabama. And man, it's hot down here.
It's hot,
I think it's the last hot day of the year. It's supposed to get cool. But anyway, find us on all your podcast platforms, wherever you listen. We're there, Innovation Unplugged. And this is Joe Johnson. Thanks, Joe.
Thanks, brother.
Yeah.
See you. Have a good day.